Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. I recently shared this joke with my congregation, and it's told from a mother's perspective. We visited our newly married daughter who was preparing her first Thanksgiving dinner. I noticed the turkey thawing in the kitchen sink with the dish drainer inverted over the bird. I asked why a drainer covered the turkey. Our daughter turned to my wife and said, "Mom, you always did it that way." "Yes," my wife replied, "but you don't have a cat." Traditions get passed down from generation to generation in a family. In the case of that joke, a tradition had been created where one was never intended. Nevertheless, our traditions persist from the menu at our Thanksgiving dinners to ornaments we put on the Christmas tree to where we sit around the tables, even to where we sit in church. We may be in a rut, but they are ruts that give us comfort and certainty in an uncertain world. These traditions tell us who we are. This week, our overall theme is the Easter feast. And so far, we have talked about meals that convey God's grace to us, and even talked about the tradition of having an Easter breakfast in celebration of Jesus. Today, let's turn to some Easter foods that once again point deeply to the resurrection. And let's begin with something small, a hot cross bun. Hot cross buns have been described as a cross between a dinner roll and a cinnamon bun. They really took on significance in the 11th century, beginning in a monastery in England. It's simple, really, a spiced bun marked with a cross. But in that little pastry, the whole gospel is hiding. The spices whisper of burial, the women carrying their jars to the tomb at dawn. The cross marked in the dough on top reminds us of the suffering that purchased our freedom. And the sweetness, well, that's resurrection joy baked right in. It's the taste of a world made new. Hot cross buns preach a quiet sermon. Suffering is real, but joy is stronger. Death is bitter, but resurrection is sweet. The cross is heavy, but Christ is risen. Next, we turn to something called Pascha bread. Most of us may not be familiar with the word Pascha, but it is a word that many Eastern Orthodox Christians use in place of the word Easter. The word has Aramaic and Greek roots and is also connected to the word Passover and points to God's work of salvation not only in the Passover, but especially to what Christ does for us on Easter. Pascha bread originated in Ukraine and Eastern Europe, and often it was prepared on Good Friday and then taken to church on Easter morning to be blessed. Then you could eat it. Pascha bread is usually tall, golden, and crowned with icing or symbols of faith. In Eastern European homes, families gather to knead the dough, watching it rise slowly, patiently, like hope itself. The rising dough becomes a parable. What once was flat and lifeless is now full of air and warmth and promise. Isn't that resurrection? Isn't that what Christ does with us? He takes what is heavy and breathes life into it. He takes what is flat and fills it with hope. He takes what is ordinary and makes it radiant. Pascha bread is a sermon you can slice. Christ is risen, and he is still raising hope in us. Finally, in some cultures, Easter meals are marked by a feast of lamb. Lamb is the centerpiece of Easter tables from Greece to Ethiopia to the Middle East. The lamb is not just a meal, it is a story. It is a story of Passover, of deliverance, of blood that saves. It is a story of John the Baptist pointing to Jesus and crying, "Behold the Lamb of God." It is a story of Revelation where the Lamb reigns on the throne. When families gather around roasted lamb, they are not just eating dinner, they are proclaiming the gospel. Christ is our Passover lamb. Christ is our sacrifice. Christ is our salvation. It's now a few weeks after Easter. You've got almost a year to learn how to prepare these foods for next Easter. Then you can enjoy them together with your family. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Thanks for sharing these moments with me. And remember to let this day belong to God.